Hey everybody, this is Josh Runquist here for the Heavy Debriefings podcast, episode 17. And this is a very special episode celebrating the life of my co-pilot here, listening to everything from Samantha Fox to Brittany Fox. It is, of course,
the Metal Faerie.
And it just happens to be a very special day that we're recording this on, isn't it?
That is true, that is true.
Yes, it is your number redacted birthday today.
That is correct.
Turning the grand old age of number redacted.
Exactly.
So how are you feeling on this day of days?
I'm tired right now, but outside of that, I mean, I'm here. I mean, my birthday has never been like a huge thing for me. I mean, I usually do something a little special, but it's not something I go crazy with or anything.
Yeah, you seem to care way more about my birthday than your own birthday.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and especially as I've gotten older, I care more about other people's experiences than my own.
And also stuff like Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that stuff. But I'm sure we'll do something fun tonight. Of course, with Fox brilliant programming, The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror is on tonight. And Bob's Burgers doesn't have a Halloween episode.
Which is a crime.
Which is a crime.
Yes.
But there is supposed to be a scary episode sometime this season.
Well,
which
we'll
is
see.
not the same thing because you
No.
want to see the kids in their costumes.
Yes.
That's what makes it funny.
Exactly.
But also, this past week, the last week of you being the age of number redacted, we have both had really rough weeks.
Yeah, we have.
And I just thought it'd be good for us to do a little mental health check-in. Obviously not going into full details or anything, but, just see where we're at right now.
Yeah, so where are you at right now?
Part of me is better than it was last week, but also part of me is really, really struggling.
Yeah.
Of course, all the stuff that you've been going through, the stuff that I've been going through, stuff around the world. It's just, there's not a lot of positivity going on right now.
Right.
One positive thing, I guess you could say, is I took a picture of myself last night. The selfie, as kids used to say. And it was the first time I ever noticed that my weight loss.
Yeah.
Now, have you been noticing that over
I
time?
mean, it sometimes it's hard to see the immediate effects, like with somebody you like see every single day constantly. But like I've definitely noticed that your clothes are definitely fitting you looser and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so that's something to feel very happy about. You know, it's like I'm well under 300 now, which
that's amazing.
I didn't think that was ever going to happen again.
Right.
And that's something to really take pride in. And I did a good interview last week with the band Contrast, which we'll be talking about later in the show. But just everything other than that, it's just been a lot of pain.
Yeah.
On my end, and I think that just comes with the holidays, like
For sure.
Like growing up and all the horrible things that I went through during the holidays, and then of course 10 years ago when I was dealing with my stomach issues and going in and out of the hospital all the time.
Yeah.
And of course, on Thanksgiving, being in the local hospital with my dad and getting kicked out not long after that as well. It just, it's a hell I never want to experience again, but it's a hell that constantly keeps living in my mind.
Oh yeah.
So what about you?
It's been a rough week on my end. I'm not going to go into full detail because there's some things I like to keep private from this podcast, but we'll just say on another front of my life, there were some pretty big changes I found out about, and it's a hard thing to deal with. But I'm trying to get my mind in a better place. I'm trying to kind of deal with it as best I can, but sometimes big changes can really have an impact on you, and this is just kind of one of those times.
So about half a week since you found out about a lot of these things, like how are you feeling now compared to when you officially found out?
I mean, it's definitely sunk in a little bit more now. Like at first it was just a huge shock. Now it's sunk in, and it's just kind of dealing with all the emotions that come with it, because it's pretty much every emotion at this point, and just kind of figuring out how to go about the next weeks of my life.
Yeah, I mean, the initial couple weeks coming up is going to be very strange, and then after that, it's going to be stranger.
Yeah.
And if there's any solace in it, I'm glad I get here to try to help you get through it.
Definitely.
And, for some reason, you want me around, and you care about the words that I have to say, and trying to support you and be there for you mentally. So, that means a lot that you still want me around after all this time.
Yes.
To be able to help you out in any way I can.
Definitely.
But we're both going through our own different versions of hell right now, and we're going to be putting on a great show to be able to release a lot of frustration, mainly on your end, as I've been working on a little secret project that I've been going through for quite a bit of time, and we finally get to experience that today.
Yes.
We're also going to be checking out some stuff that you're not looking forward to, along with some stuff that you don't know about yet.
Right.
Of course, coming in the ways of the musical roulette of 3 random songs.
Yes.
And we'll be talking about a bunch of other stuff as well, too. But rather than us rambling, since we have no news this week, thankfully, no real celebrity deaths over the past week. I will mention drummer Aaron Spears did pass since we did the show, who is like one of the most legendary pop drummers of all time. Working with everyone from Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, all the big names in pop from the 90s to his passing. So I do at least want to mention that as well. Like, you might not recognize his drumming, but once you hear what it is, you can always tell that it's him. And it was just really sad to hear him pass on as a former drummer myself. But I think that's pretty much all we got for the news.
I think,
So as we just got done talking about our sadness and our mental health struggles that we're going through right now, it is now time for you to rage as we go into 3 random songs, musical roulette, and we're going to be discussing a song that has to do with our next segment.
Okay.
So we just ripped off the Band-Aid here, and we listened to the new song from the Beatles, which I'm not entirely sure how this all works. I don't know if it's just an unreleased song. I remember hearing something about they use like AI on this song.
Oh dear.
I don't know if that's true or not. But it's a new song called Now and Then, which is supposedly the final Beatles song.
Oh, okay.
So, as a lifelong fan of the Beatles, you know, just like anxiously anticipating, chomping at the bit, hoping that there would be some new Beatles material.
Yes, that's me.
What did you think?
So I am not a Beatles fan. Let's clarify that.
Shut up.
Let's clarify that first of all. And I'll get more into my love-hate of the Beatles in the next segment, I believe. But as far as this song in particular, like, number one, if they did use AI, like, that's messed up. Just let sleeping dogs lie, you know?
From what I understand, it might have been like vocals to get like John Lennon's parts.
Yeah, that's
in
creepy.
There. Yeah,
that's creepy.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that.
That's even worse than like the what's the visual like when they like
holograms.
Holograms. Thank you. Yeah, that's even worse than that. I mean, it is not my cup of tea. Like, it's like, this is definitely a more somber, serious song from them. Not that I don't have other ones, but like, I don't know. It's just, it's just not my thing. It's not my bag. It's not my bag. Not my bag.
I understand. Yeah, again, without all the knowledge and not wanting to look into what the song was all about, I can't really comment on like instrumentation or vocals or anything like that because I'm still trying to figure out everything. But yeah, a more somber song, and you would think that if it was gonna be the last Beatles song, it'd maybe be something a little cheerier. But I don't know if this is an unreleased song or an unfinished song. I don't really know. So having it be so somber is very strange.
I guess I don't see that as strange. I mean, it's all about like missing somebody. So in a respect, you know, they could be using it as this kind of a now and then, you know, they're being missed and, you know, that kind of a thing. I mean, and we have many bands we love who last albums and songs were very somber as well. So that's not exactly a strange thing.
I know, but it's been like, what, 40, 50 years since a new Beatles song has come out, so...
Well, no, they had new ones in the 90s.
Well, I thought they were just unreleased.
Well, either way, new to the public, I mean...
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Again, you can tell my Beatles knowledge is very small.
So is mine.
But it sounds like you have a bigger one than I do.
Well, I just remember it from my teenage years.
Just like how you used to be a Grateful Dead fan.
Yeah, I did have a Grateful Dead phase.
But that'll be for the next segment. We still have 2 more songs to cover in this musical roulette. So deciding to go into even sadder and more somber stuff, and a song that really, really fits your etiquette of life. We went with Hangman's Chair and the song Cold and Distant off their newest album, A Loner, which is one of my favorite albums of that style. And as of last year, my number 2 album of 2022.
Yeah.
Especially with looking at the lyrics this time around. What do you think?
Yeah, the lyrics are very relatable to me. Very relatable to me. Kind of like, life hands you a lot of crummy stuff, and you gotta keep going on. Life goes on.
Yeah, I'm not alright, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's fine. Everything is fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's fine.
Oh, that's a phrase I hear all too often in this household.
Yes, from BoJack Horseman, if you are not familiar. Anyways, so lyrically I enjoy it. Musically, it's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's fine. Did it again. No, this is a band that, like, every time you play them, I'm like, okay, they're okay. But they're not a band I've ever really gone back to listen to on my own.
And that's your own fault.
But
You're missing out.
Well, but they haven't drawn me in like that, though.
You used to say about Woods of Vapor, but look at you now.
Well, I haven't cried from Hangman's Chair yet that I remember, so...
Well, now that you're starting to understand more of the lyrics now, that might change.
But it's fine, though.
All right. Let's not get into a repeating cycle here.
Okay.
So finally, we're ending with a little bit of ear candy before we dive into the darkest recesses of your mind in the next segment. It is the band The Story So Far with Empty Spaces.
Yes.
One of the newer, even though they've been around for quite a bit now, but one of the newer pop punk bands on the scene from the 2000s.
Okay.
What do you think of their biggest hit?
Yes, I remember hearing this song back in the day, but I never knew who they were, and I never got into it any more than that, hearing it a few times back then. It's catchy, definitely catchy. I mean, I can't speak to them as a band any further than that, but yeah, it's an earworm. Yeah.
I think it's an earworm. And,
yeah.
Of course, they got some faster stuff, slower stuff, like that. So, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I dig what they do. I mean, sometimes it's hard for me to get into pop punk for reasons that we'll be getting into later in the show.
Sure.
But, yeah, I could feel the eye roll. I could just feel it.
We're not going to be talking about pop punk later.
No, but we're talking about something similar when it comes into that.
I know.
So, yeah, this is one of them from the newish wave of pop punk that I do enjoy.
Yeah.
And, might as well hit you with something nice and catchy before we get into the next segment as we close out here with this musical roulette of 3 random songs. Alright, now for my new favorite part of the show, even if this is only going to be the only time it happens, but we'll see what happens next year.
Yeah.
As a special birthday gift to you. Well, first let's set the stage.
Okay, sure.
You hate way more music than I do.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
There's a lot of stuff that I don't like, but I just don't talk about.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that really annoys me, but unless you ask me what I really think of it, I'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know.
Yeah.
For you,
Yeah.
there are some bands that just hit you like a dentist drill every time that you hear them.
There are.
And I thought of 32 of them.
Oh, dear.
To put this together in a bracket fight, our
Yeah.
new favorite tool for the show, as I really enjoyed when we did this for our Halloween horror villains.
Yeah.
I thought this would be a fantastic idea to do this, to battle out, to find out what is truly, and I mean truly, your most hated band.
Okay.
So what do you think of this going in?
I mean, I'm curious to see who made the cut, first of all. Like, there's a lot of options. And yeah, I'm curious to see who ends up being the first place. I will preface this by saying, if you're into these bands, I'm sorry. There might be some exceptions where I tear down the fans as well. But outside of those ones, if you like them, good for you. Like, I'm not trying to be a elitist or anything, but there's some fans I don't like,
That is very fair.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do just a few more of these, and we are done.
Okay.
And one more. Okay, so
All right.
matchup mode. Let's begin.
All right.
Led Zeppelin versus Genesis.
Oh, boy.
So,
so
this is just going to be 32 bands of What's Your Problem
okay,
to start this all
I'm picking
off.
who I hate the most.
Yes.
Okay.
So the finals will be your 2 most hated bands, and then you'll have to pick which one of those you hate the most to be your number 1 most hated band.
Yeah, I get it.
So, first of all, what's your problem with Led Zeppelin?
I actually really don't. Like, I listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin when I was younger. It's been a long time since I really listened to them in any kind of regular way. It's more so with some of their fans now. Like, for instance, Howard Stern. we
Let me crack open a cold one for this one.
so on and off, once in a while we listen to Howard Stern. He's changed a lot over the years, so he's not very enjoyable much anymore. But anyways, like, he spent like a couple days solid, like, going on, well, actually probably even longer than that, but about how Bonzo Bonham is like the best drummer ever, and there's no other drummer ever that can live up to that. And it just reminds me of a handful of other Led Zeppelin fans and fans of other bands that are probably on this list as well, who are just so stuck, and similar to some metal elitists as well, stuck on the fact that, you know, this certain band that they love is the only true, like, good band ever to exist, and there could not possibly be anything ever good about them.
And he constantly kept crapping on Neil Peart as well.
Yeah, he just made fun of Neil Peart as well.
And Rush in general.
Yeah, and which is stupid, first of all, because he's was amazing drummer as well. But also, I mean, there's so many other amazing drummers out there that you have never even heard of. Like, don't be so stuck in your ways, dude. And so that's kind of where this one comes from. I really don't have anything against Led Zeppelin. I mean, some of their stuff isn't as much my cup of tea, but there's some of their stuff I like, and yeah.
All right, well, before you choose,
yeah,
I have to ask,
yeah,
Peter Gabriel Genesis or Phil Collins Genesis?
It's all the same to me.
But it's not.
Yeah, sure.
There are such distinct differences between the two.
All right.
The Peter Gabriel era was much more progressive and longer. I mean, you have double albums like The Lamb Lies on Broadway, which is considered one of the biggest progressive rock concept albums of all time. And then you have the Phil Collins era, which is much more mainstream with songs like albums like We Can't Dance, which sounds nothing like the original Genesis and much more mainstream.
Are you done with your aggressive rant?
So Peter Gabriel or Phil Collins?
For most liked or most hated?
Well, what are you a bigger fan of?
I mean, I'd probably go with Phil Collins just because it's more 80s and I like the 80s more, but I would not choose either, like, ever.
All right, right on. So Led Zeppelin or Genesis? Which is your more hated band?
Genesis.
Like there was any question.
I know.
All right. Next up, Nirvana or Pink Floyd?
Oh boy, here we go.
So, first of all, what's your problem with Nirvana?
Everything. I first of all, musically, vocally, they just sound like a band who could not care any less, which was true in a way.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I do have I have a little frustration around grunge and how it basically brought down everything that was good in this world with glam metal.
That's not true, as many glam artists have said, that glam metal killed glam metal.
Well, whatever.
Nelson killed glam metal.
There's a lot of ways you can think about this, but I'm not a grunge fan at all, period, and Nirvana is just the leading cause of this. I don't like anything about their sound. I don't like the I don't care attitude. I don't like anything about them.
All right. And what's your problem with Pink Floyd?
Take everything I just said and put it into the 70s. Like, it sounds very I don't care, like, just like kind of experimental BS. Like, and I remember, like, back in my high school days when I loved watching VH1, like, The Wall would always be on, and I could not turn the TV off fast enough when that was on. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's not my thing.
Well, you got two bands here that are not your thing.
Yeah.
But what is the band that you hate more between the two?
Nirvana.
No, what is your reasoning for that?
Like, Pink Floyd, I have been able to avoid a lot more throughout the years, whereas Nirvana has very much been, like, in my face. I mean, I was in that age when, like, Nirvana was, like, big and stuff. So, you know what I mean? Like, there was no way I could avoid it. So, yeah.
All right. So, Pink Floyd has been slayed by Nirvana for being worse in your eyes.
Yes.
Slayer versus Boris. First of all, what's your problem with Slayer?
A big part of it is the fans. Like, I hate the fans. They're just annoying. It's another, like, metal elitist group who thinks that Slayer is the only, like, you know, true metal. Like, they're outside of that, they're just boring to me. They're just boring. They just have in their mind, like, we need to sound tough and, like, stupid, and that, yes.
So you don't care that they help pioneer the thrash genre?
No.
Right on.
Yeah.
Now, to break my heart, what is your problem with Boris?
Musically, no. Oh, goodness. No.
But they do almost every style.
Fine, I don't like it. And then like when we saw them live, like at the end of the show, he like opened his shirt and like dived into the audience and like body surfed with his shirt like draping open like he's some like god to the world or something.
He has a name, but I know you don't care.
I don't know what his name is.
All right, so boring or which one moves on into the next round?
This is hard.
Don't go breaking my heart.
I'm gonna go Slayer.
Slayer annoys you more. You hate them more.
I think there's more that I hate there. Boris, I don't like the music, but they may be fine people. I'm not annoyed by the fans. Slayer, I don't like the music. I don't like the vocals. I don't like the fans. I don't like the entire package.
That is completely and utterly fair.
Yes.
And this is all the more reason why I'm so happy we're doing this segment. It's just to see you go off on all these bands.
Yes.
Pantera versus Metallica.
Oh, God. These could have been...
I thought this was going to be the finals.
I was just about to say, this could have been my final, too. Oh, gosh. This is going to be hard.
All right, so first, what's your problem with Pantera?
I will say I like Glamterra. Outside of Glamterra, they're... I don't like them as people. I don't like the music. I don't like the vocals. Like, with the exception of, like, their, like, one ballad.
Cemetery Gates.
Yeah, Cemetery Gates.
Well, they have more than one ballad.
Well, it's the only one I know. But, like, I don't like the, like, good old boys meets
Never meaning so hard, never meaning to no harm.
Yes, exactly. Meets, like, we're so tough and, BS attitude. And their fans are terrible. They are horrible people. Again, another set of metal elitists who should not be an elitist about what they listen to. Like, oof. Yeah.
All right. So, what about the biggest metal band in the world, Metallica?
Golly gee.
And choose your words lightly, as I'm sure the comments are sure to follow.
Oh, I'm sure. Look, the first few Metallica albums I can listen to without bursting into flames. After that, I can't guarantee anything. I hate...
Does that include the Black Album?
Okay, we'll include that with the first albums, whatever. Okay. Number one, I don't like them as people. With the exception of Kirk and his love of horror, like, I think James and Lars are just terrible human beings.
What about Rob Trujillo?
I don't know enough about him. He's just kind of there. I mean, Let's be honest, he is not a full member of the band, and I don't think anybody sees him that way. I mean, do they really? I don't think they do. I think they're terrible people. I think their music is boring and bland. I think people just like them because it's the name Metallica and metal is in the name, and so they think it's like...
Really?
I know, right?
Wow.
I think people think it's hard, and that's the first band they heard, so it's the only best band ever, and they'll always be so great, even though they sound terrible now. If you really have a musical ear at all, you realize they are not good.
And James does have the face of the Cowardly Lion now.
He does, and he has the voice of it as well. And him being on the flippin' like best guitarist lists all the time, and I mean their lists are stupid to begin with, but like that's so ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. And Lars is such a terrible drummer too, and their fans. Oh, good lord, their fans. Like there's not a group that is more stuck up their own butts than any other band ever.
Even Pantera?
Even Pantera. They're at least like loud and boisterous and like kind of admit who they are. Metallica, they are sniffing their own toots.
Make sure to direct all your hate mail in the comments down below.
Yeah, I'll take it. I don't care. I stick by everything I'm saying.
So, with all of that
Metallica.
said, it's
Metallica.
It's Metallica.
It's Metallica.
All right. I thought you were going to have a harder time
This
picking
got me
with
lit
that
up.
one.
This got me lit up.
Good. This is what I wanted. Yeah, my evil plan is working.
Oh.
All right, Imperial Triumphant versus Iron Maiden.
Oh boy.
All right, so first of all, what's your problem with Imperial Triumphant?
I honestly don't really remember them musically. It's pretty much just the name. We don't have to listen to it. It's fine.
It's jazz metal.
Oh, that. Okay, yep. Yeah, and I don't like jazz at all.
And remember, Kenny G did a solo.
Oh, that one. Okay,
yes.
that one. That's that one. Okay. Yeah, no, not my thing. I don't like jazz, and the name just annoys me.
Okay, well, that was short and sweet. What about Maiden? What's your problem with Maiden?
Oh, going along the same lines of Slayer and Metallica, it's another metal elitist BS. Like, they're fine. They're fine. We saw them in concert. They were fine. They have some okay, enjoyable stuff, you know? But they're not this amazing band that everybody has made them out to be. Like, they are not the reason that metal still exists today. They are not the only metal, you know, amazing band out there. Like, there's so much better out there. There is so much better out there. And once people realize this, we can get on with this relationship. And their fans, again, it's just that elitist stupidness. Like, people are so stuck up there.
Yeah, wasn't that fun when we saw Maiden at the XL and just like all the Maiden fans surrounding us and just realizing why we're
and
not
how
a part of the fan
judgmental
club.
they were towards Ghost or you know, sub in any other band, they'd be judgmental towards them because they're not Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going with Iron Maiden.
We're going with Iron Maiden. All right. So next up, we got Dragon Force versus Coldplay.
Oh, what a lineup.
So, first off, what's your problem? Even though we did this already,
Yeah.
remind the audience, what's your problem with Dragon Force?
Yeah, if you didn't hear me go off on them before, basically, I just feel like they sound like they sat down and were like, okay, what is a power metal band supposed to sound like? And they just honed in on that, and they're just very cliche and by paint by number, this is what we think power metal is. Don't get me wrong, there's some enjoyable stuff there. They're talented, all that stuff. I have some issues with Herman Lee and his little YouTube videos he puts out sometimes, but they're just too paint by number for me.
All right. And what's your problem with Coldplay?
Everything. I just can't handle their music. I can't handle Chris, whatever his name is. It made sense that he was married to Gwyneth Paltrow because they are just a pair made in not heaven.
And name their child
Apple. Ugh.
Apple Coldplay.
Apple Coldplay. Like, this is just the band that like 50-year-olds listen to when they think they're still hardcore. They still listen to rock. But no, girl, no.
All right. So the poster child of what people think power metal is versus no, girl, no.
Coldplay. Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised about this one.
Well,
I thought this one would have been a little harder.
Well, it's like with Dragon Force. I mean, it's fine music. It's not like it's bad music. It's just too honed in. Yeah.
Fair enough. And next up, we got the Red Hot Chili Peppers versus Pearl Jam.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
So first of all, what's your problem with the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Besides the fact that they only sing about California.
Yeah, well, that is part of it. They honestly, all their music just kind of sounds the same to me. Not to be like an old like mom figure or something. Like all that music sounds the same. But it just has that like chill vibe that I am just not all about at all. So that's really it for me. Yeah.
So the clear winner of this one, what is your problem with Pearl Jam?
The voice. Well, I mean, again, the grunge stuff. I hate grunge, but his voice, that I can't. I just cannot with his voice. So Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam, I did figure it was going to be the winner of this one, so
yeah.
Pearl Jam. Next up, Haken versus Van der Graaf Generator. So first of all, what's your problem with Haken?
They're just very boring to me. Like,
even after seeing them live.
Yeah, live they were boring too. And that's really all I got for them. Like, I don't really remember anything specific about them. I just remember being bored.
Well, I mean, they are that textbook definition of that noodly progressive rock and metal that you do not enjoy.
Yeah, it is not my type of prog. Yeah.
All right. So what about the Van der Graaf Generator? What is your problem with Van der Graaf Generator?
So you did play them for me the other day.
Yes, I did.
Just to remember what they sound like.
And it might have had something to do with this list as well, but go on.
Yeah, not my cup of tea musically, and the name, I just can't with the name.
It's an electric instrument to be able to tell electricity in the air. That's what it's called. It's named after the Van der Graaf.
I understand it's just stupid.
What do you got against the Netherlands?
Nothing.
It's a very Dutch name, and it is apparently making you very mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing against
If I had the last name of Van der Graaf, you wouldn't have had anything to do with me.
If you had generator on the end of it, then.
Okay.
But you don't.
The Van der Graaf. So.
Van der Graaf Generator.
Van der Graaf. All right. I thought Haken was going to win that one.
Yeah.
Genesis versus Nirvana.
Oh boy. Okay. Oof. Oh, this is a hard one. I'm gonna go Nirvana.
You're going Nirvana. What is your reasoning?
So Genesis, at least part of their music has a little bit of an 80s flair, which I'm not against.
Nirvana started in the 80s.
But they don't sound 80s at all. And also, one of a movie that I adore references Genesis.
And that is?
American Psycho. So we'll go with Nirvana.
All right. Nirvana wins this one. Slayer versus Metallica.
Oh, man. So, I mean, in both cases, I hate the music. I hate the singing. Metallica, though, they do have a few albums that I don't hate as much. But then you add in the fans. And, like, for me, the Slayer fans, they suck, but they're just kind of dumb.
But you hate all of their music.
I do, but not with the same degree that I hate the older Metallica music, I don't think.
No, you said you like the older Metallica albums.
Or sorry, later Metallica, sorry, okay. I meant later. Like, Slayer just isn't my style, whereas Metallica is just terrible. And I hate the Metallica fans more, too.
So you're going Metallica.
I'm going Metallica.
I think I see where things are going with this part of the bracket.
Maybe. We'll find out.
Iron Maiden versus Coldplay.
Oh, dear. This is hard, because, like, Iron Maiden, like I said, their music's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
But I hate the fans. Whereas Coldplay, I hate the music, and I don't hate their fans. I just think they're kind of eye-rolly. But we'll go Coldplay, because it's about the music.
Yeah, well, okay.
Partially, anyways. It's partially about the music.
Hey, I just said most hated band.
Yeah.
And you could use any reasoning that you need.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam versus the Vandergraft Generator.
We'll go Pearl Jam, because, like, the Vandergraft Generator, I'm just not as familiar with their music. I've heard, like, the one song. Whereas Pearl Jam, I know I've heard multiple songs on the radio and stuff, and I hate all of them, and yeah.
Even though you hate the name Vandergraft Generator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nirvana versus Metallica.
Oh, dear.
The band that you say killed the genre versus a band that might have actually killed the genre.
So I gotta think, so it's about the music, it's about the fans for me, but I also gotta think about just in my heart of hearts, which one gives me more rage.
Yes.
And it's Metallica.
Really?
Yeah.
I could have sworn Nirvana was gonna get past here.
I don't like Nirvana. I will turn them off any chance I get. I do not like them at all. I hate them. But Metallica, it makes my blood boil, and their fans make my blood boil.
What if I was a Metallica fan?
Well, then I guess we probably wouldn't be sitting here during the show, will we?
Or just sound like my ex-girlfriend.
I didn't know you had a past relationship.
I didn't. Metallica wins that one. Coldplay versus Pearl Jam.
Coldplay.
Okay, and your reasoning? Because I know how much you despise Pearl Jam.
That's true. Oh, man. See, okay, for me, I think the thing that tips me over with Coldplay is that just kind of air of snobbery about them.
They like to fart into wine glasses and sniff them.
Yes, and I can't deal with that.
All right. So that leads things to the finals here of Metallica versus Coldplay.
Oh, man.
Snobs versus Blood Boiling in the first half of the Metal Faeries Most Hated Bands 2023.
This one
I should have licensed out the NFL music for this.
You should have. Oh man,
Come on, talk through your reasoning.
So, I mean, Metallica, I think I made myself very clear. Like, I don't like a lot of their music. I don't like their fans. Coldplay, I don't like their music. I don't like the snobbery about them. I also don't like the fact that they stole music from other people. Although Metallica has borrowed quite a bit from other people as well.
Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
But then again, Coldplay did steal from Satch.
Yeah. I mean, they're all terrible people. They're all terrible people.
Do you think that they named their child Apple so Steve Jobs would give them free stuff?
Maybe.
It makes sense to me.
You know what? Metallica took down Napster. They're just, you know what? Metallica's snobs too. They are snobs too.
But they also did call out everything that's happening right now in 2023 with the artists not making any money because of online stuff.
Well, that would have happened anyways. Like, we can get into that another day. Metallica.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Is that your ultimate response?
My final answer.
Okay. Now, Metallica is on the left side of the Metal Faeries Most Hated Bands.
Yes.
2023.
Yes.
Now, let's see what the second half has in store.
All right.
Niall versus Steak Sauce Mustache. First of all, what's your problem with Nile?
It's just, there's nothing enjoyable about their music to me. It's just a little too grating, and I think they're terrible people. Well, the
one that's out of the band,
the one that's out of the
terrible
band.
person.
Yes,
I
my
will
apologies.
say that through and through.
Yeah, him. Yeah, like when we saw them, like they number one, their tour got mishmashed with another tour where we saw them. Yeah, double booked essentially. And they wouldn't let the other bands like set up on stage. They had to play like on the floor so that the great Nile could have their space on stage and have their stuff all set up ahead of time.
But it kind of felt like we were at a hardcore show, like seeing Enforcer when they were on the floor.
A little bit. Yeah, I don't know about the other people, I guess, from the band, but like the former member, he was terrible, and their music is not enjoyable.
And a former person that we both knew.
An acquaintance, yes.
Former acquaintance.
Yes.
That's one of his favorite bands, if not his favorite band.
And he thought he was friends with them, too.
Yes.
My eyes are rolling.
Yes. So, what's your problem with Steak Sauce Mustache?
Mainly the name. I mean, I remember not liking them musically when you played them, but I can't really remember that, but it's mainly the name. It's the dumbest name I've ever heard of in my life.
More so than the Vandergraaf generator?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can show you so much worse names out
there.
I'm
sure, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Nile.
You're gonna go with Nile. Mm-hmm. All right, that's fair. Animals as leaders versus the Misfits. So, what's your problem with Animals as leaders?
Kind of similar to Haken. They're just boring to me.
Is it because they have no vocals?
It doesn't help. I'm not a huge, just instrumental person unless it's classical. So.
Or classical style. I mean, there's modern piano stuff that you enjoy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. And again, that progressive rock noodling that you are so against.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so what's your problem with the Misfits?
I mean,
this should fit everything. It's got Danzig, it's got punk, it's got horror aesthetic. What's the problem?
I mean, I think I got into this a little bit a few weeks back, but Danzig and the Misfits just sounds like he does not care at all what he sounds like. And the Misfits overall, and I get like punk is all about like not caring and stuff like that, but there's punk that still sounds like good and quality and polished and like they actually put some effort forward, and the Misfits does not sound like that. They sound like they do not care what they sound like, and it sounds just stupid. His voice sounds stupid.
Well, let's also be honest. You're a fan of smart punk.
Yeah, that is true.
Basically, one of the members of the band has to have a college PhD for you to enjoy them.
It doesn't hurt.
I still need to get you more into the Descendants for that reason alone.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of this, Animals as leaders, you're going Misfits.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. I thought sure you were going to go Animals as leaders. But,
well, you know what? Like, Animals as leaders is just boring, whereas the Misfits, like, brings out rage.
Fair enough. So, next up, we got The Who versus Merzbow.
Oh, man.
So, first of all, I remember this several years ago. I asked you, Rolling Stones or The Who? And you chose the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which just shocked me to no end.
Because I don't like the Rolling Stones either.
Yes. But what's your problem with The Who?
Oh, God. They have such an annoying sound to them. And, like, it's like 70s speak and spell. Like, just... For the person who just doesn't want to think and doesn't want to, just wants to have something handed them on a platter from the 70s. Who are you? Who are you? Like, what? No, gosh, no.
Well, the one thing The Who has in this instance is it's intelligible what's going on, as compared to Merzbow.
Just
now,
noise.
what's your problem with Merzbow?
It's just noise.
How dare you?
Well, it is.
How dare you?
How dare I tell the truth? You're right. How dare I tell the truth?
Yes. It just sounds like someone using an electric sander for however long the release is.
Yeah.
So, what do you hate more, The Who or Merzbow?
I'm gonna go with The Who. Because obviously I hate Merzbow, but, like, The Who brings out more rage.
I honestly thought Merzbow was going to make it further in this.
Yeah.
But, we're going The Who. Modeling of the Well versus the Beatles. All right. See how we tied everything together in this show?
Yes.
We listened to the Beatles' new song. Now the Beatles are a part of this list.
Exactly.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge.
But first of all, what is your problem with Modeling of the Well?
I mean, we've gotten into this in the past couple episodes, I think, now, but I don't like the name and I don't like their music, and that's pretty much it.
Well, first of all, remember, any episode is someone's first episode, so...
Well, that is true. My apologies. But yeah, the name just gets my skin crawling, and musically, I just don't like them.
But you see, maudlin is like sadness.
Yeah.
And it's the sadness of people that are okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I get
What's
it.
wrong with that?
I get it. It just irks me.
All right. And a band that, at least for the longest time that I can think of, was your most hated band. Maybe that's changed. I don't know. We'll get into that as we continue on.
Yeah.
But what is your problem with the Beatles? The Beatless. Lay.
So, I mean, growing up, like, when I was younger, I didn't have a hate towards the Beatles. They were never really my cup of tea. Like, there was maybe a couple songs I could listen to just because, like, I did choir when I was younger, and, like, they were good for, like, practicing type songs and stuff like that. But, like, once they got to the point where they started, like, re-releasing stuff, and, like, it became so obvious how there's so many people out there who, again, like metal elitists, think that the Beatles are the only good band ever, and they are the reason that music exists. Like, music as a whole would not even be here today if it weren't for the Beatles.
There was no music before
There
the Beatles.
was no music before the Beatles. None.
They invented their own instruments to create the band.
Exactly. So that annoys me. Like, their music was fine, but like people just view them as like these I think they're put on a pedestal that they don't deserve to be on. Like, they are not as great as like people think they are, in my opinion, and that just annoys me.
Well, a sentiment that we both share is just because you're first doesn't mean you're the best.
Exactly. I think people get stuck in their little wells.
Maudlin of the well.
Maudlin of the well of like what they like, and like they don't ever branch out from that.
So, with that said, Maudlin of the Well or the Beatles?
The Beatles.
The Beatles. Thank you for not destroying Maudlin of the Well this time.
Yes, this time.
So next up, we got Creedence Clearwater Revival versus Helmet.
Oh.
So, what's your problem with Creedence, man?
Number one, the fact that they're in like every like battle, like war type scene movie ever nowadays. Exactly. But I hate the sound of their music. I hate his voice. Like,
he has a name. It is John Fogerty.
Oh, okay, whatever. Anyways, it again it's kind of that 70s speak and spell again, but this time for like Southerners. And I can't. CCR! No
one goes CCR. They go Creedence because of the Big Lebowski.
Well, whatever. Either way.
The dude's favorite band is Creedence.
Well, fine.
Which is why I don't understand why you hate Creedence so much.
Moving on.
Anyways, what's your problem with Helmet?
They're just boring to me. We've seen them once together, and I've seen them once myself.
Yeah, we saw them with no openers. They did two sets.
Yeah.
And you saw them opening for Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Sebastian Bach.
And Suicide Girls.
Yes, and the Suicide Girls.
Doing their burlesque vaudeville show or whatever that was.
Yeah. They're just so boring, like musically and on stage. They're the most boring band I've ever seen.
Wrong.
Not wrong.
Now, folks, if you may not have noticed, I put some bands that I love on this list.
Yes.
That she despises. Like Maudlin of the Well, like Boris, like Helmet. So
yeah.
I'm trying to keep my personal taste out of this because, you know, obviously the star here is the Metal Faerie.
Well, yeah.
And it's just another reason why I love you, the way you just eviscerate bands like this, and
you
you just do not care what other people think.
No.
That is such a great thing to have.
Yeah.
So with that said, Creedence or Helmet?
Creedence.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up we have Bruce Springsteen versus Rage Against the Machine. First of all, what is your problem with Bruce Springsteen? What is wrong with being born in the USA?
It's just not my kind of music at all. It's that very like easy rock. That's what I would describe it as, easy rock. And no.
So you're not born to run?
Nope, not at all.
His drummer was with Conan O'Brien for all those decades.
Yeah, no, and I just don't like the whole Americana like view of a band. Like, it's just not my thing. It's not my thing.
Well, on the opposite side of Americana, we need to know what's your problem with Rage Against the Machine.
I mean, I've never like really taken the time to listen to Rage, like, but what I have heard is just very nails on a chalkboard to me. I know they're very left on the left, and I appreciate that.
Funny enough, just a couple days ago, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine was the only one to accept the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I saw that.
The other members just denied it.
Now, did he like, was the only one willing to go, or
Yes.
did he like not let the other ones go?
No, the other ones did not want to participate.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. But yeah, that's my thing with them. It just, musically, it's not my thing.
Well, they're both not your thing.
They're not my thing, yeah.
But which one is less your thing?
Bruce Springsteen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the, yeah, no, yeah.
All right, well, here's two more for you.
Oh boy, here we go.
Tool versus Fish.
Yes.
Now, first of all, in what is a contender for your most hated band,
Yes.
what's your problem with Tool?
Oh gosh. They're so boring. They're so terrible. Like, everybody thinks there's just the end all band of metal, and well, you interviewed somebody who like put it perfectly.
Let me do it.
Yeah.
The main songwriter, singer, guitarist of the band Moron Police. I interviewed him to talk about my favorite album of 2019, which Moron Police put out, and is still one of my favorite albums.
Yeah.
It came out the same day. That interview came out the same day that the new Tool came out, and he perfectly described it as someone walking through the desert for an hour and a half.
Yeah. That basically sums up what I feel like all Tool sounds like. And I would add on without water and without even a mirage in sight.
It's that scene from Beavis and Butthead Do America when they're just walking through the desert.
Yes.
The vultures are just circling them, waiting to die.
And their fans are, like, if you want to talk about snobby fans, like, my word, Tool. Oh, is there more snobby fans out there than Tool? I don't know. I don't know that there are.
I don't think there is.
Probably not.
Potentially. But that would be another fun bracket fight to do.
Who is the snobbiest fans?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, in the opposite of snobby, and a particular ice cream you enjoy,
Yes.
what's your problem with fish food?
I yes, my favorite ice cream is fish food from Ben & Jerry's. I'll be honest, I don't even remember what they sound like.
Hippie jam band.
Yeah.
Think of like a modern day Grateful Dead.
Yeah. I mean, I've just never really listened to them, but just the name annoys me. It really just annoys me. So
Even though they made your ice cream.
I know, right?
I mean, Ben and Jerry did, but they're
Yes.
the inspiration.
Exactly.
You're the inspiration. So I think it's pretty obvious which
Tool.
one you're going here.
Tool. Yeah.
All right. Limp Bizkit versus Clutch.
Oh, man.
This
Here
one
we go.
breaks my heart.
Oh.
So, what's your problem with Fred Durst and Company?
Well, I mean, there's nothing redeeming there. Let's be honest. Like, not my music, not my lyrics, not my people.
$3 bill, y'all.
Oh, no.
Chocolate stuffed fish.
No.
Keep on rolling, baby.
No. Moving on.
So, what's your problem with one of my favorite bands, Clutch?
I know.
A very leftist band as well.
Yes, and I appreciate that, but I don't like his voice.
How dare you?
It's just kind of grating to me. And musically, it just doesn't catch me. But I'm gonna go with Limp Bizkit.
You're going with Limp Bizkit. All right, I can at least find a little bit of solace with that.
Exactly. You know what time it is.
It is time to go back to the top, I believe, with Nile versus the Misfits.
Oh dear. Okay. I mean, you could say terrible people in both.
Well, not to mention that the singer that replaced Glenn Danzig was a member of the Proud Boys.
Yeah. Yep. Musically terrible, vocally terrible in both. But who do I have the most rage over? The Misfits.
Because they're more popular.
No, that's not why I have more rage over them. No.
Well, I kind of figured, like the more people know about a band, the more it brings in the lesser crowd that you want to deal with.
Well, they do have worse fans. They do have worse fans, absolutely. Okay. So in that respect, yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the Who versus the Beatles.
Oh, dearie. I know.
Don't let it pause, because that's dead air and people will tune out. Please
That's
don't.
true. This might be a shocker, but I think I'm gonna go with the Who.
What?
I know.
You're...
Well,
This is a hot take I never would have saw coming.
Well, like I'm thinking about like if I hear a song from both of them, who am I gonna just be the most rage induced?
Yeah.
And like the Beatles, while I hate their fans more, like there at least is like clean vocals I can enjoy sometimes there.
As opposed to their death growls.
Well, no, and I don't mean death growls, but like more like kind of the choir nerd in me. Like there's vocal lines I can enjoy there, whereas the Who, whereas the Who, I just no.
Wow, that is the biggest shock so far.
I know.
You chose the Who.
Yeah.
Now continuing on, Creedence versus Bruce Springsteen.
I'm gonna go Creedence.
You're gonna go Creedence.
Like Bruce Springsteen, I just like he doesn't come up as often. Like if I'm flipping through the radio or something like that. Creedence comes up more often. often, and there's just more rage there. And Bruce is just more boring, whereas Creedence just like it grinds my gears.
Oh, the grinding of.
Yes.
So next up, Tool versus Limp
Oh
Bizkit.
man, I'm gonna go Tool. Like
you answered this. You're answering this way too fast.
Well, yeah, sometimes the answer is correct. Like, I hate Limp Bizkit, but I mean, I don't think about Limp Bizkit ever, you know? And like, whereas Tool is there so much in the metal world, and I just, oh boy.
I did not see that coming. All right, the Misfits versus the Who.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'm gonna go with Misfits.
Okay, what is your reasoning? Compared to the Who, obviously.
Worse. I mean, I guess I don't know what the quality of the people are like with the Who, but the quality of people with the Misfits is worse, and the fans are worse with the Misfits.
Fair enough. And next we got Creedence versus Tool.
Tool.
All right.
Yeah, I don't like either, but Tool has terrible fans.
So that just leads everything here. The Misfits versus Tool.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Which one will take on Metallica for your most hated band? We got a three-way dance here.
We do.
And one little special thing after you pick this one.
Okay. Oh man.
Dead air.
I'm gonna go with Tool.
You're going with Tool.
Yes.
And what is the reasoning between this and the Misfits?
The snobbery.
The snobbery. All right. So we'll talk about the finals in a second.
Okay.
But first of all, how did it feel to unleash a lot of this fury? Like Yngwie, you unleashed the effing fury.
I did.
So
thank you, Yngwie, for inspiring me. Yeah. I mean, it was interesting going through and kind of figuring out who I do have the most rage against. Not the machine. Yeah, it was interesting.
Now, what bands did I leave out? Was there any glaring omissions that I left out?
I was kind of surprised the Rolling Stones weren't on here.
Well, it's because you chose them over the Who.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do like a variety of different bands.
That makes sense. John Mayer.
I didn't know you had that big of a problem with John Mayer.
So
we never talk about him, so
exactly. Like, I just think he's a terrible person, and like in a previous role I worked in, like there was somebody who used to play them all the time, and like oh no. What's the
You know, the one with the thing?
The one with the thing. Adam Levine. What's his band?
5?
Maroon 5.
Well, he also does solo stuff, too.
Yeah, the whole thing. Oof, how terrible.
All right. Well, we got some things for next year's Name Redacted birthday extravaganza.
Name Redacted birthday extravaganza, yes.
Well, until then.
Yes.
And there might be some repeats next year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, things could change in 366 days.
Yes.
Because, of course, we have leap year next year. We are down to the finals.
Yes.
2 bands that are credited for starting genres they didn't actually start.
Exactly.
One is thrash. In the AFC side, we have Metallica. And on the NFC side, the originators of progressive metal, even though they didn't.
Yes.
On the NFC, we have Tool.
Yes.
In this Super Bowl of the Metal Faerie's most hated bands, 2020-2023.
Yes.
What is going to come out on top as the most hated band?
Yeah.
In your mind?
Yeah. So here's the
Here's
the thing.
Just say the thing.
The fans are terrible on both, and I've gone into that. The people are terrible on both.
Also, we just missed Tool back on Halloween.
Ooh, I'm so sad.
I just want to use
I think what it comes down to me is, number one, like as far as like the creators of these genres, like progressive metal, like I'm not a huge like straight up progressive fan. Like I like progressive mixed with some things. So I'm not as annoyed by that. I mean, I think it's stupid that they're like portrayed as the founders of progressive music, but it doesn't bother me as much. Whereas Metallica, like I'm not a huge thrasher either, but like there are some thrash bands I love. Death Angel. Death Angel's one of my favorite bands, and they are so much better than Metallica has ever dreamed of being.
Truer words were never spoken.
Exactly. So that leads me towards Metallica more. And then also adding on top of that, let me think here. But the fans are terrible in both. I would say the Tool is more, their music is more boring to me, whereas Metallica, I just have more of a visceral reaction to. So I think I'm gonna go to Metallica.
Well, let's say we're on a drive.
Yeah.
And for whatever ungodly reason,
yeah,
you had to either listen to Tool all the way through or Metallica all the way through.
Yeah.
What would you rather pick?
Oh gosh. Are we talking like early day Metallica or later day Metallica?
All of it.
All of it.
Yes. Let's be honest, there's a lot of long Tool songs, so that might equal to the length of Metallica. Of course, I'm joking, they have less albums, but
Yeah.
it feels long.
Oh, man. This is hard. This is hard because they're both just so terrible. And there's snobbery on both sides.
There is.
Oh.
I mean, you got the Metallica side,
Yeah.
where it has more of a worldwide appeal
Yeah.
of snobbery.
Yeah.
Whereas Tool, it's like, you're not an intellectual unless you enjoy Tool. Like, you don't understand the Fibonacci code unless you enjoy Tool.
Oh,
You know, it's just like, if you don't like Tool, you're dumb.
Yeah.
I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Whereas Metallica, you know, it's like, they're the greatest band and no other band could ever compete with Metallica because they're Metallica.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I think I'm gonna go Metallica.
Are you going Metallica?
Tool is a very close second, and the Misfits are a very close third, but Metallica. It's Metallica.
All right, one last shot. Metallica?
Metallica.
All right. All other bands have been saved, but there's only one band to make it to the top of the mountain. The most hated band in the Metal Faerie's eyes. Celebrating her number redacted birthday.
Yes.
It is Metallica coming out on top as the most hated band in 2023. Dun 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 dun.
Oh.
So, how has this been for you?
It has been a romp.
It has. And what do you think if you checked out this, whether it is the video version that we put together here, or if you're checking this out in podcast form? What do you think? Do you agree with the assessments of the Metal Faerie? Did you feel a slight twinge in the bottom extremities as she talked about your favorite band and she eviscerated them? Do you have a lot of hate spewing yourself because of this list?
Right.
Everything. Let us know in the comments down below. Well, that was by far the longest segment of the show this week.
Yes.
And now we're going to follow it up with the shortest segments of the show this week.
Yes.
Another nail in the coffin to us not watching AEW anymore.
Yeah.
As the only TV news that we really have, as we don't need to discuss every Simpsons and Bob's Burgers episode.
No.
AEW has signed the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! Yes, I am doing that wrong on purpose to annoy people. So, Lynn.
Yeah.
Are we going to be doing a 21 helicopter salute in Ric Flair signing with AEW?
No, we will not. No, we will not.
Well, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, like when he first appeared last week, was it? Whatever week.
It was a couple weeks
back. Like, in my eyes, I thought he was just going to be around for the last, like, hurrah of Sting. I'm like, I get it. I don't like Ric Flair, but, you know, I understand. But now him being signed, it's like, what is he doing? What are you going to do with him? What are you going to do with him?
One final match!
But for a multi-year deal? Like, what? Then what?
One final match!
Like, it's just ridiculous. What are you talking about? He can't wrestle anymore.
Some say he never could.
Well, that is true. But be that as it may. It's so stupid. And I don't know. Yeah.
Come on, styling, profiling.
No.
Go, taking a trip to Space Mountain.
No.
All right, well, I feel the exact same way as you do.
Yes.
And that makes me sad, as I used to be a huge Ric Flair fan. And then I came to the age of reason.
Yeah.
And then I learned all of the horrible, horrible things that he's done in the past.
He has done some things.
Yeah, things that I will not be bringing up on here, but things that make me quite upset. And all I can think is, it's just a cash grab.
Yeah.
It's a cash grab for Ric Flair. It's a cash grab so people will tune in. That's all it's for.
Yeah, 100%.
But don't forget, his energy drink, or whatever that is now the official drink of AEW as well.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
So I have to ask again on air, when the hell are we getting rid of the cable?
Yeah, I know. We need to get rid of it.
And that's our AEW talk and TV.
All right, so we got a couple movies we watched over the past week. One we watched at home a few days back. What's your thought?
Yes, on Halloween, we spent about, an hour and a half going through all the different streaming apps that we're probably also going to be getting rid of because of how much they're upcharging everything now.
It's true.
HBO Max is going to be $25 if we continue to watch AEW when that eventually hits Max.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, and of course, Netflix is going up like $2 to $4 every year, and thankfully we can keep Disney because that's a part of our phone plan.
Yeah.
And Hulu has a magnificent deal every year with doing a $2 a month deal,
Yeah.
so you're only spending like $24 a year.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna keep that. Plus, we usually fall asleep King of the Hill.
Yes.
But we decided to go through Amazon Prime for this particular movie, and one thing I've learned from Amazon Prime is they do not have the pristine horror movies.
I mean, they have some of those too, but like they have
Not
a lot.
much.
They have a lot of the like ones you've never heard of before.
And there's a reason why you've never heard of them.
Yes.
And we decided that we should venture down one of these realms. Probably not the best movie to play loudly in an apartment building.
Right.
But it is a movie referred to as Lucky Bastard.
Yes.
Now, who's gonna describe this movie?
So it's basically a movie about it's a group of people who work together in a
type of film.
In a type of film. And they
Back in the video store days, it was usually hid behind a thing of beads.
Yes. And they decide they're gonna, in a roundabout way, they decide they're gonna be doing a film with a fan involved. And that fan is brought on set, and things don't quite go as they should. Let's just say that.
And then it does another twist as well.
Yeah.
Where it turns into a horror.
Oh yes. Yeah.
What? That is the best YouTube-friendly version of how we can describe this movie.
Yes.
So, with that said, what did you think?
Oh, it was horrible. It was absolutely
It was
terrible.
god-awful.
It was terrible. I mean, we were able to make fun of it, but no.
Well, we do like watching crappy horror
We
movies.
do. We like MSTing it.
I also feel like I kind of ruined Halloween for us by, let's watch this one. Because we weren't really the same after that. It's NC-17.
Yeah.
So, it can't really show that in a lot of movie theaters or anything. And
no.
perfect for Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
But a few days later, in fact, it was yesterday.
Last night.
We decided to head up our local Alamo Draft House. And we saw a different kind of horror.
Yes.
A horror by Sofia Coppola, known as Priscilla.
So it's technically not a horror movie. Just for listeners who are not aware.
Or is it?
Well, yeah.
But, as a gigantic Elvis fan,
Yeah.
please describe this movie.
So this is basically a take on, it's based off of Priscilla Presley's book she wrote.
Elvis and Me.
Elvis and Me, yes. We don't know for sure how much was taken directly from that versus...
Here we go.
Well, like any movie, we don't know how much it was taken directly from the book versus how much Sophia kind of added on for effect or whatnot. It's hard to say, but it just kind of looks at the years that Priscilla and Elvis knew each other and from the Priscilla perspective and kind of their time together. It's a hard watch. I mean...
Well, one thing I will say is I did have to go to the bathroom at one part of the movie.
Yeah.
And from everything you told me, it sounds like I missed out on all the best parts of the movie.
There were some interesting parts for sure. It's hard. Like you said, I'm a huge Elvis fan. Absolutely love his music. But I think we all know he did some things that were not exactly good.
Which is why I brought up pop punk earlier.
Yes.
For anyone that stuck around this long.
Yeah. So this kind of gives in a more of a look into those things.
That's like 3/4 of the movie.
Yeah. It's very based around kind of
how they met.
Yeah, how they met and like just kind of his character and stuff like that. There's a lot of drama around that. I know before Lisa Marie passed away, she had reached out to Sophia, like asking her to like kind of change things a little bit because she felt like she was going in a different direction than what the book portrayed. But it's hard to say like what actually happened, what is real, what isn't. If you weren't there, like we don't know for sure. Yes, we obviously know he did some things that were not the best, to put it very mildly, but it's just, it's hard. It's a messy situation.
Yeah. As someone that's kind of lukewarm on Elvis, I don't love him. I don't hate him.
Yeah.
He's always been around.
Yeah.
In my life, like, from my parents listening to him, my grandparents despised him, which I found very funny.
Yes.
But, just learning about how they met, all the pill popping that was going on, all the stuff that I really can't say in a YouTube form.
Yeah.
It makes me very conflicted.
Yeah.
I guess that's the best way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was a fine film.
Yeah.
But my problem was the last quarter, if not less, of the movie, where everything just felt ridiculously rushed.
Absolutely.
And yeah, just, I felt like they could have done something much better than what they did.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, they spend so much time with like the early years of them together, that like the latter years of them together, and they didn't cover anything after Priscilla left Elvis. Like it was so choppy and just it just didn't sit well. It didn't sit well. Like, yeah, if you're gonna watch an Elvis movie, I mean, obviously this one's more around Priscilla, so if you want to see that, you can. But like, if you're looking for an Elvis movie, see Elvis instead. That one was an amazing movie. This one was, it was a little rough. And I like Sofia Coppola's other movies, but yeah, this no.
Yeah, I just felt like it needed to go a little bit longer. Even though it was over 2 hours, I felt like it should have gone longer, or cut out stuff from the beginning of the movie and make it more balanced at the end as well. As far as Elvis, the movie from last year, I enjoyed the movie, but as I've told you many a times, I hate the cinematography of it.
Yeah.
I think I perfectly said it last night, everything I was trying to say. It's like watching a TikTok movie version of Elvis, where every single scene changes like every 2 to 4 seconds.
And I didn't
like
get
every
that at
camera
all.
switch happens, and just like, hey, look over here, look over there, look over here, and like you can't really focus.
Yeah.
It feels like an ADD movie.
Yeah, and I totally didn't notice that, which is weird because normally something like that would like get my dizziness going. But yeah.
I think you were just infatuated with Elvis.
Well, probably.
So you didn't care how it was portrayed.
That's true.
And a sidebar, in speaking of Priscilla, how many kids of a certain age are gonna wonder why Dolly Parton covered Whitney Houston?
Jeez.
That is a thing. I know that's going to be a thing.
I know. It's so disgusting.
It's like when Beavis and Butthead came back and people were wondering why Anderson ripped off Hank Hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
What, you couldn't come up with a different voice?
Right.
Even though Anderson came first. So, that said, what did you enjoy more? Lucky Bastard or Priscilla?
Priscilla. Yeah. I mean, it was more of a quality movie than...
How dare you? How dare you say such
And of
things?
course, being at Alamo was great.
Their pizza.
It's so
their
good.
popcorn.
It's so good.
Like, you wouldn't think movie theater food would be that good.
No.
Because you're at a movie theater.
Exactly.
Like, we grew up in the age where you basically just got popcorn, candy, and soda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now they have, like, fine food there. Some of the best pizza I've ever had in my entire life. Not the best, but it's up there.
Yeah.
And their popcorn's just, like, smothered and covered in butter, and it just tastes so good. And you get these gigantic mixing bowls of popcorn.
Yes.
And free refills.
Yes, that's true.
The fatty in me is always so happy
And
about
they bring
that.
it to you. You don't have to get up and get anything.
You just write a little note.
Exactly.
Brought to you by Alamo Draft House.
Yes.
If only.
If only.
But, yeah, so that's the entertainment we've been enjoying this past week. So now we go into the world of gaming. I got some stuff to talk about, but let's talk about your dating simulators first.
So Love Island, that one. So previously, as I mentioned last week, so we were back from Casa Amor, and our partner's ex, essentially, who was back in the main Casa, was
that means Love House.
Love House, was trying to get back with them, and we were trying to stand our ground with them. And this one, 2 new people came in, and they're both, well, one of them's like after us like now, even though we're still into the guy that we came back into the main villa with. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Love is Blind, the worst game ever created, has finally ended.
But you played it all the way through.
I had to see it through. But it was horrible. So again, like I've said before, like in the show, you meet people without seeing them. In the pods, you get engaged without seeing them, and you go on a little vacation to spend some time with them. Then you come back to the real world and are put up in an apartment for a while, for like 2 or 3 weeks, until you get to your wedding date, at which point you either either say I do or I don't. Well, on here, we got through all that in like the first couple episodes, essentially. And then there was like this whole mess of like going on like your honeymoon, and it got canceled because of like bad weather. And so you were sent somewhere else and all over the place and just stupid. And now all of a sudden last week they were trying to possibly make you the new co-hosts of the show because the existing co-hosts were having a baby, so they couldn't host it anymore. And now this one, there was like some party you were thrown into where like before the party you found out, or no, at the beginning of the party, they were doing some live stream from it or something. And one of the husbands of the other girls like came in and said that they had found somebody else and they were in love with. And you were like, oh no, how am I going to break it to this person? And like you to like go talk to them because they were your friend. And then you talk them into like getting revenge by like bringing it up on stream and stuff, and then the other girl ended up leaving them too because it's just a terrible person altogether. And then it comes to the night where like there's going to be a voting of who's going to be the official new hosts of the show, and this one girl who's been causing trouble all along tries to cause more trouble, and like somebody tries to leak a video of like your partner like apparently like when they're back in the early days like saying that they might propose to one of the other girls, which doesn't even add up because they were never interested in one of the other girls. It was only one of the other guys who was. And it's just a whole mess. It's a mess. But
now, why would you put yourself through all of that?
For the Reddit.
Just to check in.
But yeah, so we did end up becoming hosts of the new show, but...
Well, you're going to be playing next season, right?
No, I'm getting rid of Netflix. I'm not playing it ever again. Oh... But yeah, that's me. How about you? You've been playing a few things.
Yes. I finished up Alan Wake 2.
Yes.
As we talked about last week, you saw the ending of the big old musical featuring Poets of the Fall and
Yes.
The Rocky Horror dance number that concluded everything.
Yes.
And continuing on, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I loved it. Without even trying, I got 80% of the trophies, which I
Nice.
thought was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Like, I wasn't even trying for any of the trophies. It just kind of happened naturally.
Yeah.
Although it would take a second or third playthrough to get the rest of them, as
Okay.
I've learned, so maybe in time.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I think it's a great look at mental health and the way that we look at our own struggles in different ways, shapes, and forms. It ends on a gigantic cliffhanger, which I don't know if it's going to be solved in the DLC or if there will be a third game. How would they even do a third game? That's all the stuff that I would be very much looking forward to.
Yeah.
But from what you saw, with not having all the pieces together, what did you think of it?
I mean, visually it was really great looking. Story-wise, I wasn't really able to follow it, so I can't really speak much for that, but it looked interesting.
Well, you never saw the first game.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think you were paying attention when I was playing Control either.
No.
But I will say, I was very fearful that Poets of the Fall was not really going to be a big part of the game. And
Yeah.
they turned out to be one of the biggest parts of the game.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at it. And I can't sing the praises of Poets of the Fall enough.
Yeah.
After that, I decided to go back to Postal 4, No Regrets. And boy, was that a regret for me. During a main mission, I died, and I got locked out of the mission, and I can't keep going unless I restart the game.
Yeah.
The game is a big, clunky, buggy mess.
Yeah.
And as I talked about like last week, like the radio stations have like 5 to 10 minutes of dialogue in the whole thing. It's got different voice actors in there. I mean, of course, the legendary John St. John of Duke Nukem fame is in there, but that's not enough to save this. And yeah, it was a regret.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we decided
Yes.
to kind of make up for watching Lucky Bastard.
Yes.
We decided to finish up on a horror game that we haven't played in 2 years because it almost destroyed my PS5. The physical version of it anyways got a bad faulty disc and it almost destroyed the PS5. The game, of course, is Resident Evil 8 Village.
Yes.
Now, this is probably the most left-of-center Resident Evil game, although 6 might take that claim as that's not even a horror game, it's more of just an action game. But 8 is like a fairy tale all the way through.
Yeah.
Which is a huge departure from zombies and all the other things that you know from Resident Evil. And it does share a lot of homages to Resident Resident Evil 8 with like the village, and if you go deeper into the game, there's a lot of nods to stuff that if you played Resident Evil 4 or the fantastic remake that came out this year that I never want to play again, once was enough, even though I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
This was a tearjerker of a game, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it kind of had a FU ending. Well, it's an FU because you think it's the ending.
Yeah.
And then it goes back, and that kind of was the ending as well, too, because, well, I'm trying to be as elusive about the ending as possible about a 2-year-old game that people probably already know the ending to.
Yeah.
But we just finished it now, and we didn't know what happened.
Exactly.
But there is a beloved character from Resident Evil that shows up in the game, in the beginning and at the end. I'll put it that way. And it's the finale of the Ethan Winters saga that happens between 7 and 8. So what did you think?
I really liked it. Yeah. I mean, visually it was amazing. It was very, like, there was just so much to it, you know? There were so many different, like, areas you went to and stuff like that. And it was, yeah, I mean, it was a great story. It was compelling. Like, we laughed, we cried. You know, I really liked it. I don't know if I think 2 is still my favorite, but it's probably somewhere along the line of like 3 for my favorites.
I like that. I like hearing that.
Yeah.
And then after that, we also played the DLC,
Yes.
which features Rosemary Winters, all growed up.
All grown up.
As Rugrats
Yes.
used to say, and that's a horrible, horrible sequel show, All Growed Up.
Yes.
What did you think of the DLC?
I liked it, but I felt like there were some things missing. Like, the mom wasn't on there, like, at all, which just kind of struck me as weird, and, like...
Well, you gotta save something for Resident Evil 9.
Maybe. But, like, I don't know. I feel like it just left a lot of pieces kind of unknown. Like, I mean, I get it was her adventure or whatever, but, like, there was just so much unexplained that I would have loved to have explained.
Yeah, I feel like it's a prequel to the sequel to quote Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah.
I feel like you're just getting to know this character before something happens in Resident Evil 9.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong about that, but that's the way the DLC felt to me.
Yeah, I get that.
And it almost felt like a remix of Village as well, because you go through the same areas that you did as Ethan.
Yeah.
But remixed. Some characters that you can enjoy for their jolly selves turn out to be people that I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And other shenanigans that happen as well. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the furthering of the story and just getting to understand things a little bit more.
Yeah.
But whether it comes out next year, whether it comes out later, maybe we'll have to wait for the PS6. I don't know.
Right.
But I'm very curious to see where the Resident Evil series goes from here.
Me too. So up next, we got some music talk. There's a couple things that we've listened to together. We have listened to the new Satan's Fall.
Yes. I did an interview with Satan's Fall and Himalaya last week.
Yes.
And also the band Contrast as well. All 3 of those are now up on the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, where I have well over 1,000 subscribers now. Again, thank you very much for subscribing if you chose to. If not, please do so.
Exactly.
But yeah, this was the clear winner of like all 3 for you.
Yes.
So what did you think?
I really like it. It's just a mix of so many things that I like, and
Such as?
Well, it's kind of like the kind of new heavy metal, but it's like harder, like almost deathy metal kind of too. It's a good mix of everything, you know?
Well, I'd say, to put on my snobbery, I think it was a little more black metal in there as well.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
Obviously with the name Satan's Fall, that is a song from Merciful Fate.
Yeah.
Which is a part of the first wave of black metal sound, even though they don't really sound like what black metal does today, but they're considered like a precursor to what black metal is. So there's a lot of like that new wave of British heavy metal, Swedish heavy metal, Merciful Fate stuff going on with some modern tinges as well, which I really appreciate.
Definitely.
Very killer band, and not enough people have heard them, so I hope more people will check them out.
Exactly. Also, so Tarja has a Christmas album coming out, and we listened to
A Dark Christmas.
One song or 2 songs from that?
We listened to a couple.
Oh, it was a couple.
Well, let's start with your favorite Christmas song of all time from Paul McCartney. We are having a wonderful Christmas time.
Yeah, I don't like that song.
I know.
It's explaining to the people.
I think they were pretty clear from the Beatles stuff earlier.
Well, probably. So
give our audience a little bit of credit here.
Fine. But no, I mean, I loved Tarja. I named my car after Tarja. But I don't know how I feel about the couple songs that we heard. And maybe some other songs will be better, but like...
Well, we forgot the other song.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about that song first.
Oh, sorry.
But the other song is the lead single. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yeah. I mean, she's trying to take a more kind of somber approach to these songs, which I appreciate the idea of. I just don't know if I love the execution of.
I really, really thought that she could pull this off. I mean, she has another Christmas album that she did before.
And I love it.
Yeah, with this, like, again, like, I love the idea of it. But this is Taria that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Tarja to the uninformed.
Yes.
Like, she could have used her range a whole lot more on this album. She could have made things, like, darker. I also saw that they did Last Christmas on here, so does that count for Whamageddon if we listen to a cover version, or do we have to hear the real version for Whamageddon? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Well, last year I made it all the way through without hearing Last Christmas at all in any form, so I don't know if that'll happen this year. We'll have to see.
We'll find out.
But yeah, it felt like it was very rushed, put together, and it doesn't feel like her black art was put into it.
No. Also along the lines of Christmas, there is a new album out, A Very Metal Christmas. Who's involved in that?
Well, there's a lot of different musicians a part of this.
Yes.
But we did hear the lead single, which also happens to be Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, featuring Dave Ellefson on bass, Bumblefoot on guitar, and your favorite vocalist and mine, Tim Ripper Owens. On vocals.
Oh.
If you wanted to hear Ripper sing Mariah Carey, your time has come. So.
It's terrible.
It is god-awful. Yes.
Terrible.
And I love Bumblefoot, but he's made some interesting choices as of late, and this is not a good one.
Yeah. So outside of that, one thing I saw, I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but Dark Moor has a new single out.
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Is it also about Formula One racing?
No.
Oh,
I
good.
think they went a different route this time.
I hope so.
But you've been working on your top 100.
Yes, I have. I have it down to 105 albums now.
Very nice.
Although 2 of those albums I haven't heard yet, and I'm hoping to get promos for.
Yeah.
I'm going to work some magic this week, hopefully. But, yeah, I've pretty much gone through everything that I'm currently looking forward to in November. And, of course, there's always the chance I could get a promo or stumble upon a band that put out an album earlier this year, or it's going to be coming out in November, maybe early December, that'll just like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last time. But I have been pretty much putting everything into shape. I went through almost 200 albums to narrow it down to this much, and that was really rough in and of itself.
Yeah.
Mainly because I'm not doing any honorable mentions this year. But coming up November 27th, the Monday after Black Friday and the Monday after Thanksgiving, depending on how you celebrate things, will be the beginning of Heavy Debriefings' top 100 albums of 2023.
Ooh.
Now, I'm going to be doing something similar to what I did last year, but I'm going to be doing it a little bit different this time around. It's going to be 100 albums, as I've always done, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be doing 10 albums a day over 2 weeks. Monday through Friday, so the average American work week. I'll be doing 10 albums a day in written form and on YouTube, so if you think reading is for nerds, you got the YouTube version.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hear my annoying voice, you have the written version, so there's no reason not to check this out.
Yes.
I will also be putting together a specialty Spotify playlist for the top 100, and I'm also putting together all the albums that I dug this year and putting that together in one giant list that will feature over 200 albums that I've checked out this year.
Yeah.
So you can see what didn't make the list and maybe find some discoveries for yourself. I'm really looking forward to that, even though it is a baffling ordeal that I put upon myself, but it's my last big hurrah for the year before I take off from doing most of the stuff. But unlike some past years, two key differences. One, you're going to be involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will be doing a list as well. Usually I do around a top 30 or so, but we'll see where it lands this year.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what's going to be made. I have a couple guesses on what's going to be in the top 5.
Yeah.
Everything else is a real crapshoot, so we'll be figuring that out. But the second part is, if you've known me long enough, you know I take the rest of the year off when I do my top top 100. I don't do anything. I just relax and try to recharge my batteries. But because of how much I love doing the show now, how much I love doing the show with you, and how much I love you, I want to be able to continue the show through the holidays. So this will be the one thing I'm doing through December until we get back into things in January.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna have fun with it. We're gonna be doing a bunch of holiday stuff. We haven't really decided what we're doing. We don't even know what we're doing for the list thing next week, but we'll figure all that out in time. But I'm excited to ring out the rest of 2023 with you through the podcast and having people check it out. And in case you missed it last week and you are familiar with my top 10 albums of the month, that is no longer. As in January, I'll be doing it weekly. Yes, every single week I'm going to be covering my favorite albums that are coming out that week and any albums that I had missed that I checked out in the past week. So say it's March and there was a great album that came out in January or February, I'll talk about it in the beginning, and then I'll talk about the albums that are coming out this week. So I can cover everything. Instead of a 15 or 20 minute episode every month, you're going to be getting shorter videos every week. So I think that'll be more fun. I think that's going to help with the algorithm and engagement and all that stuff. Make sure I tag everybody. Am I going to be doing it in written form? Maybe. I haven't really decided yet. TBD. But definitely for sure, video form, gonna be doing it weekly. And I think that's gonna be a great way to do it. I think I might do it written because I'm able to tag bands easier and they'll be able to see my words and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything for the show this week and what to look forward to in the future. So once again, in the comments below, wish the Metal Faerie a happy birthday for her number redacted birthday.
Exactly.
And thank you very much for tuning into the show. Make sure to follow Heavy Debriefings on social media through Facebook, Instagram, Reds, Blue Sky, and YouTube, all with the name Heavy Debriefings. And until next week, for the now number redacted Metal Faerie, King of the Hill reference, this is Josh Runquist for the Heavy Debriefings podcast saying, see ya.